Hi there, welcome back. So in this video we're going to use these molds and these really beautiful paper cutout pieces. I don't know what else to call them, to be honest. They remind me, obviously they look a bit like mandalas because they're in the same sort of shape and theme. They are like a pale greeny colour. We've also got them in cream and like a beige colour too. And here we go, look at these beautiful butterflies. Now you may have seen our video before this one, came out Friday, where we also used some butterflies. But I love these colours, chocolate browns, creams, blues, and some more much paler colours here as well. So I'm going to do my best to incorporate all of this in these pieces. Of course, if you've seen the thumbnail, you'll know that I did. But anyway, moving on. Going to just open up these moulds and get them out the packaging, which of course I should have done before this. Wasn't ever so prepared, but never mind. So here we are. So these are in 3 sizes. These are like, they call them tray moulds. To be honest with you, you could use them as mats for putting things on, perhaps. You could set some actual handles in them. I don't know if you've seen trays, obviously, with those kinds of handles that sit upright from the base. You could cure some of those in there using just some regular resin, and they'd look stunning. But here's the first one. This is the smallest one. And this was my idea at the time of what I would do with the mandala patterns. Those, by the way, those mandala sort of things, they look a bit like doilies. They are made from paper. So I played around a bit with where I was going to position the butterflies, where I was going to position the mandalas. Was I going to have them all in? Wasn't I? And you will see as the video progresses what I ended up putting where. Now, the base of these is made from good old aqua cast. And just making sure that I'm stirring it in, well, blending it in with a whisk here. This bit's been sped up. I don't normally do it quite this quickly. Now, this is Aquacast, which is made by Elichem. It's great, and I really like it. It's usually quite a good consistency, and it's water activated. So it's just comes to you as a powder. You follow the mixing ratio guidelines that provided on the packaging by the manufacturer. As I said, it's Elichem. And yeah, you add. You can either add the water to the powder or the powder to the water, totally up to you. Now, I've added in some white pigment because, you know, I just thought it'd be a good idea. And then I changed my mind and added in some of that yellow. Now, my gosh, I was a bit worried because I thought maybe it might be a bit too yellowy brown. But once you've mixed it in, it just sends it a little bit of an off-white cream colour. So now I'm just going to add in a few drops of it because I wanted to create, or try and create, a marbling kind of effect. So just using a little coffee stir stick here and swizzling it around in the eco resin. Look at that. Now that looks beautiful, and you could of course just leave it with the one colour, but you know, I'd committed to using a couple, and I'm going to use the chocolate brown. Oh, this could go so wrong. I could end up with sludge, but or just, yeah, sludge. But I added in a little bit of the brown, added in some more white because I was really concerned at this point. Yeah, but added in some white and then go back in with a coffee stir stick and just literally gently and carefully mix it all around like that. So you see how it all mixes and marbles and so on. Of course, as you know, the Aquacast or eco resins, much the same as epoxy resin. You never quite know what you're going to get. You can hope you're going to get what you're going to get, but you never quite know. Anyway, that whole, I'm going to say, jigging those molds from side to side was just me trying to explain that I've put them on some greaseproof paper so that when I've poured in all this lovely eco resin, look at that. Anybody else getting sort of the best vanilla ice cream with toffee swirl sauce, bit of coffee, bit of chocolate? Am I feeling hungry? Yes, I am. Pouring it in there. I'm then going to agitate the moulds by just sort of, well, getting a bit of the ends of the greaseproof paper and just moving them from side to side. And that agitates the moulds enough so that you don't get any air bubbles or little air pockets, because obviously it's like regular epoxy resin. You don't want any little air pockets if you can help it. So almost done. They're nearly full to the level that we want. We've got a few little air bubbles come up to the surface, but here we go. Gonna agitate it forwards and backwards, side to side with the grease proof. There we go. Some people put it on cardboard and so on. And now I'm going around the edge of each of the moulds with a micro brush, just trying to make sure there's no little air bubbles or air pockets that have got trapped. Now that looks really lovely to me, and I'm thinking, wow, if it looks anything like this on the other side, because the other side of these is the right side, then it'll be brilliant. It'll be exactly what I want. So here we are now with a little bit of a fly over there. Oh, definitely left me. Couple of little extras there. We managed to have enough left over to do a little bear and a little square coloured pot. Now this was an hour and a half later, and they felt, as you saw, they're a little bit sandy to the touch, but that is the wrong side. That's the right side. Look at that. The finish on Aquacast is fantastic. So smooth. And all I've done there is just sanded down the edges very, very lightly. Now you can wait till the following day and then sand down the edges. Totally up to you what you want to do. And look at this. I'm just now seeing, is this correct now? Am I still happy with the placement of these or not? I do love that. It's the brown in the butterfly wings. Just pulls out the browns and the creams in the colour of the Aquacast there. So that was the smallest one. This, I believe, is the biggest one. There we are, just checking around all the edges. Can't see any little air pockets or bubbles or any little holes. For some reason we got a little bit of glitter going on there as well. I didn't add glitter, but you know what the glitter is like. It gets everywhere and anywhere. So just using an emery board there. Obviously you can use some very fine grit sandpaper, or you can do what I'm doing and just use an emery board. There we are. Look at that. Wow, I love it. Love it, love it. Beautiful, very, very natural sort of look to it. Could be as minimalist as you like. Obviously, you don't have to put any of these on your finished pieces. You don't have to add the mandalas. You don't have to add the butterflies. You can just have them as they are. Totally up to you. If you're going to do that, sand down the edges a tiny bit on the bottom, and don't forget to seal them. And there you go. Look at the biggest. Oh, wow. You see, so they're beautiful on the underneath, but they're also just as nice the right way round. It'll all become clear soon. I'm almost doing these back to front. I just realised this, a bit like I did with Friday's video, where I did the beautiful round, slightly chunky coasters, or you could use them as paperweights, where we had hydrangea flowers and butterflies. Look at that. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like the green colour of those lovely look like paper lace inserts. But, yeah, I'm just showing you what else I made there, which was nice little pot and, of course, a little bear. Now, look at this. So, you see, you leave them as in the green, but they weren't quite doing it for me. They weren't quite, it just wasn't quite there. So I was trying to think, what am I going to do with those? In the meantime, this is then the following day, because I did let them dry out overnight. So they were fully dried at this point. I made sure that the undersides were all brushed down. There was no dust on anything. And I've got some of this gloss sealer. Now, this is by J. Diction. Of course, Elechem do also do their own sealant. I do have some of that as well, actually. I didn't think I did, but I do. I found it after I'd done this video. So I'll try that. I'll try theirs in the next one. Theirs isn't a gloss sealant. Theirs is a satin effect. But I believe they do a satin and also a gloss sealant. Of course, if you prefer to use wax, then by all means use wax. So there we are. It's got it's a sort of, would you call that a mid sheen to it? Obviously, try not to get any brushstroke marks. I did go over to using I did actually do a second coat, and I used my little sponges to do that. And they are pottery sponges. And everything will be linked as usual in the description box below of what we're using in today's video. So I'm just putting them back down into the moulds. I have cleaned out the moulds thoroughly. I've just popped them back in. Now don't forget, we didn't fill these moulds all the way to the top, and that is because obviously we're going to put these lovely mandalas. Can you see I've started painting them with the gold? Now this is the metallic paints from Temu. Obviously you use whatever brand you like using. I had paint and then I mixed it with a little bit of water, mixed it thoroughly, and then just got a regular paintbrush and brushed it over this piece of, let's call it paper doily. I don't know what, lace insert paper doily. Not 100% certain what they're called. You can see I have actually cut this piece that fits in the corners of the piece of aqua cast that I've made. There we are. So just going to show you a bit of a better look now. So a bit more of the paint, just using a coffee stir stick to get it out of the container. Now that's the little painter's palette that you're seeing me put that in. Obviously you can mix it in however which way you feel more comfortable doing. I just happen to have this and I find it's quite easy and it's pretty straightforward. You just add the water to the paint, give it a good mix, make sure you've got no lumps, looks like that. And then we're going to put a bit more water in, just so that it's, you know, the right sort of consistency. Not too thick, not too thin. And then again, this is on a bit of greaseproof paper still, the same greaseproof paper as before. And just from the centre outwards, just doing the brush strokes. Now, this has been sped up because I took my time, because these lace doily insert paper pieces are quite delicate, particularly the ones where I've cut them. And I didn't want to rip them or tear them. So they're just going, I'm just applying the paint here. There we go. A good coat. It's pretty good coverage, this paint. I mean, we do have another brand of metallic paint by Deco Art. So it's Deco Art Americana Decor Metallics. And it's 24K gold. And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. A lot of paint pouring artists use it because it produces brilliant cells in their pieces. So that was the finished whole mandala, and I'm just showing you now on its on this biggest piece, and I'm just trying to make sure I've got it positioned correctly. Can you see the one in the bottom left corner? That was one of those quarter pieces that I'd cut out from a whole piece, and I just did that by folding it in half and then in half again, and then just taking some scissors and cutting it. But look at that, look at the sheen of that beautiful gold metallic. Now I'm sure, as you, if you know me and you've seen our videos, you're not surprised that I've added a bit of gold. A bit of gold. Here we go, here's the other piece that I'd painted. Now I then, after this, painted all the other bits that were needed to be painted for the other two trays, or what would you call them? Large coasters, place settings. Yeah. These would make lovely signs if you wanted to mount them on a wall. Obviously you do need to make sure that you set the appropriate fixing in the back of it, and then attach either some chain or maybe some beautiful ribbon, and you could hang it on a wall. You could have them as the biggest one at the top, and then the middle size, and then the bottom one perhaps with a beautiful bow. That might be that would be a lovely gift idea for somebody. And you could match it in with the colour theme of whatever room you thought it would look nice in their home. So we've already put down one of these lovely butterfly stickers. Taking the sticky bit off the back, they're PET stickers. Now, thank goodness, sorry about the state of my gloves, but thank goodness that paint on them is dry. Touch of the gold fingers, shall we say. Pardon the pun. Obviously, reference there to a certain particular type of film. Yeah. Mention in the comments if you know which film I'm referring to. By the way, if you've joined us today for the premiere and you're in the live chat, hello to everybody in the live chat. If you have joined us and you haven't subscribed, why don't you subscribe? It's free to do so. Just click on the subscribe button. hit the notification, hit all notifications, and give us a thumbs up. What colour combinations would you use? Have you ever done anything like this before? Have you used epoxy resin on top of cured eco resin, which of course is what you can see now? So this is Wayne. Wayne has made up some Tea Expert resin. It's an epoxy resin. It's a 1-to-1 mixing ratio. He's tried to get as many bubbles as possible out of it, but there are a few little pesky bubbles there. He's just now using a silicone tipped tool to persuade the resin to go to the edges of the mould. Very carefully doing that, because don't forget, some of those mandala pieces there, the gold pieces, are not stuck down. So again, this is acting like it's a glue and it's also a sealant to the whole piece. Now, what we were hoping for at this stage is that the resin would not seep down the sides between the eco resin and the mould, and then gather all underneath, because then that would be quite a big sanding job to sort it out. So he's just putting, I think he was going to use a long neck lighter there to get rid of some of the bubbles. And now with the other pieces, just topping them up with some resin. Now we did babysit these for a good hour because the little bubbles kept coming up. As you can see there, a lot of them come up and they just degas themselves, they burst. But you get the odd little few that, you know, are pesky little ones, and they need a bit of additional help to disappear, which is what Wayne is doing there with that micro brush. Now that micro brush doesn't have the little foam brush bit on the bottom of it, so he is still going very careful, because you know the lace doily sort of paper pattern inserts are still quite fragile. Here we are. He also gave it a bit of a spritz with some isopropyl alcohol, so that disperses the surface tension on the resin there. Like you've just seen him do again, and it just helps those bubbles to pop and burst. And this is the final one. This is the little one, the littlest one. So pop some resin in, just helping it, tilting the mould slightly, corner to corner, side to side, and then going in again with the silicone tool, just to help it get to the top, because there wasn't a lot of room left in this particular mould, in this little one. There's literally like millimetre, maybe 2 if you're lucky, millimetre and a half left of space. And we didn't want a doming effect on these. We really didn't want to go down that path, just in case, you know, you want to use them as a bit like mats, or maybe the smallest one you could probably use as a coaster. The other two you could put table lamps on, you could put photographs, you know, frames on them. You could use them lots of different ways. So this is 24 hours later, and here we go with the demold. Sorry, you can see another project on the left hand side of the screen. Apologies for that. I'm just checking the edges, and that initial thoughts were wow. The sides, there's no escape of resin, which I was so pleased about. So what you could do is you could then coat the sides using one of those lovely golden decor pens if you want to. Now I haven't done that. I haven't done that, not yet anyway, but I haven't done that. I thought I'd just leave these au naturel as they were. And there you are. This is another one. I think this is the medium one, or it may actually be the large one. We've got a few little raised sections there, just poking through the top surface of the resin, so we will have to sort those out. Very, very light sanding over those areas, and then possibly a flood coat of resin might be required. Or we have actually got a new tool that we have got the new tool now, so we might actually use the polishing cream that we've got coming through, and the polishing sanding tool, to see if we can polish out those little bits. Here we are. That was the medium size. This is the bigger one. So those two things you can see to the left are coasters, and they were part of the video that went out on Friday just gone. And if you haven't seen it, why not check out our playlist and have a little look? We did use butterflies in those as well. Chunky coasters is all I can say there. Chunky coasters. But again, very, very happy with the finish on these. Indeed, very happy. One thing we might actually do, because the back still looks, although it's sealed and it's not dusty and it doesn't come off on your hand, it still looks a little bit unfinished. So on the backs we might actually apply some, we've got some self-adhesive white felt. We haven't got any cream, unfortunately, but we've got some white felt. So we'll probably put some of that on those just to finish them off a bit more, so that when you put them on your surfaces, they don't mark or scratch any of the surfaces. Now I did decide just to go around the very tops of the edges with an emery board there, very fine emery board, or you can use some very fine sandpaper, and just took the edges off of that epoxy resin. Now, if you feel happy using a deburring tool, then by all means use a deburring tool, and to be honest, usually I would, but sometimes if you're not as gentle as you need to be, you can cut out little chunks and divots, and then you've got even more of a sanding job on your hands. So I decided just to take the tiny edge off there. So here we go. This is the final shot, everybody. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. We've got another one coming Wednesday, so don't forget, Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays, 5 p.m. UK time. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Why not check out our playlist and also our website, because our website's now live as well. Everything you see in this video will not be available on the website to purchase until the end of March though, because it's part of our spring summer launch. Take care everyone. Bye bye.